Welcome back. Welcome back. We're going friendship next. Friendships. When it comes to their social lives, mediators may find themselves caught in a web of contradictions. People with this personality type crave alone time, but they're also vulnerable to loneliness. Yep. Yeah, that's what I was saying in I think it was the Zodiac episode, is that I cherish the time alone, but I cannot go without the time with other people. And even when I am in a time alone, I'm usually watching videos on YouTube of other people, and most often those videos are when people in a more conversational attitude in their videos. So yeah. I do cherish the social interaction. They long to feel accepted and well liked, but they hate the idea of pretending to be anyone but their authentic selves. Yup. And while they hesitate to draw attention to themselves, they don't want to be invisible either. Yup. The good news is that in the company of true friends, meteors can escape the hamster wheel of these insecurities and focus on what really matters. For these personalities, friendship is a precious commodity, an opportunity for two people to lift each other up and change each other's lives for the better. Meteors truly believe in the old saying that a friend in need is a friend indeed. Few things bolster their sense of purpose like being there for someone they care about. Yeah. In high school, when I did have a fair bit of friends, that was the most important thing for me at the time, was those people. And it is unfortunate, and it does hurt somewhat that, we sort of lost touch with each other after school, because we all went our separate ways, and none of us were really the type of people to communicate digitally, and so we all sort of just fell out of that, and that sucks. But it is I guess that's a natural part of life, is to fall out of touch with people that you care about, and hopefully someday we'll be able to reconnect and rekindle those sorts of things. But yes, at the time, that was the most important thing to me, was those friendships and those people, and being there with and for them as much as I could. Perhaps because of their intense investment in these relationship, meteors tend to feel most fulfilled by spending time with a small, intimate circle of friends. Yes. Acquaintances may come and go, but this inner circle is likely to include meteors' friends for life. Yes. And if we had been able to stay in touch, I feel like we wouldn't have lost each other, If high school, if that environment was just how we persisted, I don't think it would have, our friendships would not have faltered. So, there is a lot to be said for that. Even though it didn't necessarily work out for me. Although meteors are warm and accepting, they don't always find it easy to make friends. This may be because superficial, casual relationships can leave these personalities feeling a bit empty. Meteors are looking for lasting, authentic friendships with people who share their desire to think and feel deeply, to do the right thing, and to give more to the world than they take from it. That said, meteors are capable of befriending all sorts of people. Yeah, I'd say that's probably true. I had some interesting characters as friends. The combination of their intuitive and prospecting personality traits draws them to diverse perspectives, which helps them appreciate friends whose experiences and worldviews are totally different from their own. Meteors may actually find it invigorating to connect with someone who, on the surface, has little in common with them. For meteors, a true friendship is founded on shared values, not just shared experiences. Yes. People with this personality trait are unlikely to form strong friendships simply out of convenience. For example, while their affection for their coworkers may be strong, just working in the same office or shop isn't enough for meteors to guarantee a substantial friendship. Yeah. Deeper connections must come into play. Yes, absolutely. Throughout high school, my best friend, she and I, we shared a lot of values. And we would talk about that sort of stuff sometimes. And we had similar outlooks on life and opinions on things, and people would used to joke that we were basically the same person with opposite genders because there was so much to be had in common. And yeah, she was, my best friend. That was a strong relationship, When meteors befriend someone, they may secretly, or not so secretly, hope to stay close with that person for life. Yeah. These personalities are capable of strong, stable relationship marked by passion and stability, subtle poetic wit, and a profound level of emotional insight. Long-standing friendships tend to draw out less obvious aspects of the meteor personality type, including a fierce protective streak. Oh god, yeah. That was an interesting part of my life. Many mediators find that they can stand up for their friends in ways that they'd struggle to manage for themselves, and that is one of the contradictions in my personality. I feel the need and that drive to be stalwart and in defensive of my friends. However, I am also a pretty meek person. And so there was always the contradiction of wanting to stand up and defend my friends, but then also being meek and not wanting to stir the pot. And those would conflict kind of violently within myself, and it would create situations where I did things that I regret. I would say and act in ways that I do not feel, and I did not at the time even feel that was right. But when there are conflicts within your personality, within yourself, it usually drives you to do some rash things. Nothing terrible. It was mostly just things that was embarrassing for me. I hope it didn't negatively affect other people too terribly. Although mediators value their friendships, they also need personal space and alone time in order to recharge. At times, people with their personality types may withdraw from even their closest friends in order to reconnect with themselves and restore their energy, as all introverts must. I don't think I ever felt that. Maybe I did. Okay, so the best friend, that one girl in high school, whenever I felt the need to retreat, it was usually she was always welcome in that retreat. So I wouldn't retreat from everybody, just everybody but her, because I felt comfortable enough and connected enough with her that she was a part of me, what I was doing, These departures are usually temporary, but mediators may need to make sure that their friends don't feel snubbed by their absence. Even as the friendships grow stronger, mediators' enigmatic qualities never truly vanish. Mediators look for ways to improve their friendships and share their affection with those who matter to them. Yes, and this is a constant struggle for me. Being able to express myself in the way that I express myself in my head, to outwardly release how I feel, is a struggle because I don't know. I'm very conscious of the way in which I do that. And this is even a struggle with my family. I don't know how to properly communicate with my family members about emotional things, because that sort of thing has always felt like it was my thing. It was my deal that I had to deal with. And I know that it is illogical to think that way, that I know that family is there to be people to help you through that sort of thing, but I always felt guilty trying to put that onto them, because I was always more concerned with them, with how they felt and what they were doing, and I never wanted to push my baggage onto them, And I know that is, like I said, that's irrational and illogical, but because that's how I always felt, I never developed the way in which to express those sorts of things. And so even now, when I know that I should, and I have the capability of expressing those things to people, I never know how to, because I never learned how to. And yeah, it's just one of those things that you just have to learn more, I guess. Often this takes form of spending quality time with their friends, coming up with grand visions for the future, and sharing their secret dreams and ideas with somebody they know they can trust. But even when mediators are entirely on their own, they always hold their friends in their hearts. Yeah, and even as I've said, me and my friend group from high school have estranged, I do still think about them quite often. And it is a regret in my life that we didn't keep in touch, but it is what it is, I guess. Parenthood. For mediators, life is a journey, but even as they find their own way through the world, their personalities feel called to help other people embark on their own journeys towards meaning, fulfillment, and happiness in their understanding, in their understated, non-domineering way. Mediators love guiding others to learn and grow, and parenthood can be an incredibly rewarding opportunity for them to do exactly that. Excuse me, yawn. Yes, and one of my the things that I wouldn't say a passion, but in that vein, one of the things that I enjoy doing and wish that I could do more is to work with children. Because really, kids are the people who need the help the most. And I find it easier to relate to children and to be able to connect with them in a way that I can guide and help them. And so, when my mom, works at a preschool, and I used to always try to find opportunities in which I could, work with those kids. Take an odd job every once in a while from the school director and to babysit and things. And I like to babysit every once in a while because I like to be a sort of teaching and guiding force for kids. If I can. Unfortunately, though, sexism prevented me from continuing that path because some parents saw a hairy man and were like, ew, he's a pedophile, It's somewhat understandable, but I wish that they wouldn't be so close-minded. From the start, mediator parents aim to be warm, caring, and open-minded. People with this personality type delight in their children's wide-eyed wonder at the world, and they want to give their child freedom. I just was thinking about what I said. Don't misinterpret what I just said as that I'm a pedophile and I wish that people would be more open-minded about pedophilia. That's not what I was saying. I do not wish people would be more open-minded about pedophilia, because pedophilia is an evil that needs to be shunned. Just to clear that, in case somebody misinterpreted what I said. Freedom to form their own opinions, discover their own interest, and grow into their unique selves. Mediator parents counterbalance these freedoms by creating a stable foundation of support and acceptance in hopes that their children never forget just how much they are loved. And that is what I strive for. That is what I hope that I can accomplish when I become a parent. Coping with challenges. Mediators may enjoy raising free spirits, but that doesn't mean that they're totally hands-off. They want to teach key values to the children, including honesty, compassion, and the importance of caring for others. Yep. They also want their children to understand the meaning of personal responsibility, especially when it comes to not hurting others. Absolutely. Something that I've been saying lately, phraseology that came to mind lately that has really resonated and stuck with me, is that most of life is not how other people act towards you. Most of life is how you act towards other people. You know, this idea that I've seen grow in my generation specifically is this sort of idea that the utmost important thing in life is how other people are acting towards you. And I've seen far too many people who operate their lives in that way, where they're so concerned with how people are acting towards them, and that's all that they think about, and then they start attributing that to things where it is not applicable, and they'll be like, and it completely ruins any sort of self-responsibility and accountability, because they're so concerned with how other people are acting towards them that they don't stop to think about how they're acting towards other people. And that bleeds into not having accountability at all, even within yourself. Not even having the ability to see when you are in the wrong and when you're doing something that could be different. And so I think that it's really important to understand that a lot of life it's more important for you to understand and be conscious of what you're putting into the world than to worry about what other people are putting into the world, because that's the only thing you can control. The only thing you can control in life is what you put into the world. So it is more important to focus on that than to fret over what other people are doing. Because you can't do anything about what other people are doing. You can only do something about what you're doing. And so it is very important to be conscious of what you're doing, I feel. And I see a very large lack of that in my generation, Gen Z. Oh, the Gen Zers. And even the millennials before them. Which sucks. It seems to be that there's a constant generational degeneration of personal responsibility and, introspection. So, and that's some advice that I would give people. Anybody watching this, anybody who watches this and listens to this, do some introspection. Just think to yourself. Do something like this even, maybe, where take a personality test and just like ruminate about these things that it's saying and think about yourself and try to relate to it and see what happened, because that is invaluable to try to learn about yourself and how you operate yourself in the world and how you can effectively establish your place in it. Yeah. That's so important. Like parents of any personality type, mediator parents inevitably face challenges. They take their parenting responsibilities seriously, so it can feel like a personal failure when their children misbehave in ways both large and small. These personalities may be especially upset when they see their children behaving in ways that don't seem considerate or ethical. Yeah. When the children do something wrong, mediators may find themselves wondering, how have I failed as a parent? The danger here is that people with this personality type might become so focused on blaming themselves that they don't establish appropriate consequences for their children's actions. Yeah, okay. I don't agree with that. That is how I would operate. Children. I understand that children will act as they do, and it is my responsibility teach them away from acting in those ways. The only time in which it might be somewhat justified to believe that your parenting was what led to the misbehavior and bad actions of a child is when they are adults and they persist with the things that they have always persisted throughout childhood. Because that means that you didn't do anything to counteract that misbehavior throughout childhood, and now it is persistent and stronger than ever in their adulthood. And once they're adults, you really can't do anything about it. And so, yes, but other than that, if your 4-year-old is acting up and doing things you don't want them to do, that isn't your fault. But it is your responsibility to turn them away from that. And if you don't, and it runs rampant, then it is your fault. Discipline may not come easily to mediators, but when balanced with their caring, gentle natures, it can become a powerful tool in their mission to teach their children the difference between right and wrong. I see that within myself. Having a struggle with discipline, I've definitely thought that would be a struggle for me. Balancing structure with spontaneity. Mediator parents naturally want to serve as good role models. They try to show their children the best side of themselves, keeping their problems, negative emotions, and frustrations under wraps. This can preserve a sense of harmony in the household, helping their children feel safe and cared for. By the same token, mediators often try to shield their children from the greater problems in the world. This is certainly appropriate when their children are young, but eventually mediators need to find ways to talk through tougher issues with their kids. Yes, so an issue that has been coming up increasingly nowadays is the absolute god-awful, heart-wrenching state of public education. I do not think that when I am a father, I do not think that I will want my children to be in such a system. And I've thought about the prospect of having to homeschool, and what a task, what a challenge that would be to tackle. But I would honestly think that it would be preferable and probably worth it, extremely worth it. But that's a different story altogether. Friggin' public school system, man. Another hurdle for many parents with this personality type is establishing practical day-to-day structures and rules for their children. Fortunately, mediators can use their creative energy to impose boundaries without stifling their children's curiosity and enthusiasm. These parents have a remarkable ability to put themselves in other people's shoes, and this enables them to come up with schedules and rules that truly work for their children's individual needs. When they balance structure with spontaneity, mediators can help their children grow into their most caring, responsible, and joyful selves. This is exactly what these parents strive for, to raise children who recognize their unique gifts and talents and share them with the world. Yeah. Okay. Career paths. Many mediators long for careers that doesn't just take care of the bills, but also feels fulfilling. They want to spend their days doing something they genuinely love, preferably without too much stress or drama. Absolutely. Ever the idealist? Yeah. Mediators might struggle to find a profession that meets their practical needs and fulfills their dreams. These personalities may drift into frustration, waiting for the perfect job to present itself, and eventually feeling stuck or worried that they're not living up to their potential. Alas, there's no such thing as a perfect job. No. And the question of whether to settle for a less than ideal position can weigh heavily on people with their personality type. Yeah. Fortunately, mediators' creativity, independence, and sincere desire to connect with and help others can help them shine and find fulfillment in nearly any line of work. Certain careers and vocations seem to hold a special allure for these personalities with their curiosity and their love of self-expression. Many mediators dream of becoming writers. They might write novels, seek out interesting freelance niches, or even find themselves doing communications in a corporate field or for a nonprofit organization. Like I said earlier, in either this video or the previous, I'm doing these all at once, so I don't even know. I would love to be able to write. And it's definitely a skill that you have to flex, you have to study for. But studying sucks. I hate practice and I hate studying, so. Richly imaginative mediators can infuse even the driest of fundraising or marketing materials with new life. Although this personality type isn't known for seeking the spotlight, other mediators find their life purpose in the performing arts. These mediators can draw from their inner depths to pull an exquisite interpretation of the creator's work. They may also create their own works as playwrights, composers, or choreographers. This is kind of a performative art. Whatever they do, mediators want to feel that their work is helping others. It's not surprising, then, that many people with this personality type choose careers that are focused on service, such as counseling, psychology, teaching, healthcare, social work, massage therapy, or physical rehabilitation. Teaching was definitely something that I considered for a long time. For these caring, supportive personalities, few things are more meaningful than seeing their work help change someone's life for the better. Absolutely. That is the loftiest of long-time goals, especially for this channel. Part of the reason why I started doing this was, one, I wanted a creative outlet. Two, I wanted a personal, sort of like an emotional outlet. And three, if this channel should become popular enough that it amasses a following, that would be a dream come true. Because then I would have people to engage with and help and encourage and be supportive for, and all of those mushy gushy things that are fulfilling and nice. So I've always wanted to have that sort of platform where I could be a difference, be a change, be a voice that helps people in what little way that I can, you know. Mediators are adaptable, but they may find it demotivating to work in high-stress, bureaucratic, or hectic. Absolutely. God, friggin'. By around freshman year of high school, no, even before that, in middle school, I was done. I was fed up with the idea of school because it was just so much. And I realized that it was so much in the pursuit of so little. This is something that I heard somebody say recently, and it makes a lot of sense, is that modern public school is nothing more than a crash course for university life. And university life is a very niche pursuit. Because university, you go to college to hone your skills, improve yourself in a specific field that you want to go into. And there are only a very specific niche subset of fields that require you to take that path. There are so many other things that you can do that you don't need that. But public schooling does not prepare you for the majority of fields. It prepares you for college, which then prepares you for those niche fields. But if you're not looking to go into one of those fields, if you're not looking to be a doctor or a lawyer or what have you, then what value are you getting out of public schooling other than just some fun facts that stick to your brain for a week or two and then go away. You know, I found I didn't find much value in the long term with my education. Yes, I would say that having that experience is invaluable because it's an invaluable social experience, especially in high school. And it definitely opened up my analytical mind, I guess you could say. Because I was always exposed to reading things and learning about what people believed and stuff. And there are definitely some valuable aspects of public schooling. I think English and history classes are very valuable, especially literary classes, because I think it's very important to read literature and learn about the things that people believed in the past and learn from them. You know, like your George Orwell's and your Ayn Rand's and all that. And your friggin', what was that? Langston Hughes? Langston Hughes is a good one. I think all that is important, and especially learning about history, because that's learning about history is a very good practice, because you're presented with a problem that occurred. A realistic problem that occurred in real life, and that's how you know that it's realistic, because it occurred in real life. And it sort of pushes you to analyze that situation and critically think your way through it. And then you have an established outcome that actually happened that you can then compare your beliefs with and see where your thinking was reasonable, where the people in history were unreasonable, and you can just kind of like analyze it. And I think that is invaluable, especially if you're going to take part in any sort of public life in the future. If your position in life in the future is going to in any way affect the world at large, I think it's very valuable for you to learn about history and literature. So that's one thing that public schooling does well, but math that's a whole barrel of monkeys that I'm not going to get into right now. That said, mediators don't need ideal conditions to thrive professionally. These personalities want to live in tune with their values in their careers as much as in any other aspect of their lives. They can put up with and overcome any number of challenges as they pursue a sense of mission in their work. I'm going to skip this one because I don't want to make too many videos on this one thing, especially since there's not much left. So I'm just going to finish out this video with the conclusion and we'll be done with it. I think this was a really interesting, valuable thing to do, and I'm surprised at how much I agree with it. It's interesting. Few personality types are as poetic and kind-hearted as mediators. With their unique gifts, mediators can overcome all sorts of challenges and obstacles, and brighten the lives of those around them in the process. Yet mediators can be tripped up in areas where idealism and altruism are more of a liability than an asset. When it comes to finding or keeping a partner, making friends, pursuing a meaningful career, or planning for the future, people with this personality type may find it need to consciously develop their weaker traits and gain new skills. Absolutely. Even as they draw on their many strengths. I think that's important for anybody, is to consciously develop their weaker traits. The Secret Life of Mediators. What you have read so far is just an introduction into the complexity of the mediator personality type. You may have wondered yourself, wow, this is so accurate, it's a little creepy, or finally, someone understands me. You may have even asked, how do they know more about me than the people I'm closest to? This is not a trick. You felt understood because you were. We've studied how mediators think and what they need to reach their full potential. In the process, we've learned how people with their personality type can overcome even their greatest personal challenges. But to overcome these challenges, you need to have a plan, a personal roadmap, a vision of where you want to head and why. In this introduction, you've learned how mediators tend to behave in certain circumstances and what their key strengths and weaknesses are. Moving forward, Now that you've learned, pay me money so that you can learn more, whatever. Yeah, so that was interesting. I'm the mediator. Along with... Oh, there's comments. Darn, right you are about accurate descriptions. I've always wanted to know why I am the way I am, and I think after reading this I finally understand why. I'm glad I took this test, and now I'm very much interested in learning more about myself. It was accurate. Jesus. Or Jesus. It was accurate. I learned a lot about many things, and now I have a better idea about things I need to change. It's scary how accurately this describes me. While a little overwhelming, I'm glad that I'm now able to learn more about the inner workings of my own mind. Yes, I agree. It's always good to learn more about the inner workings of the inner machinations of my mind. The machinations of my mind are an enigma. So yeah, that was the Meyers-Briggs 16 personality tests. I encourage anybody who sees this to do this themselves, because I did find a lot of value in that, and even if you don't agree with everything that it says, at least you're being insightful and introspective, which is always good and super important to the development of any respectable human being. I highly encourage everybody to pursue themselves. Learn and discover about yourself as much as possible, especially if you ever want to learn and discover things about other people. Because the more you understand yourself, the easier it will be to navigate the world in discovering and learning about other people, and especially connecting with them. That is my preachy soapbox. And I know it was a little different than, just laughing at a visual novel or whatever, but I think this was cool and interesting, and I do hope that I'll do more in the future. And I do want to do more commentary type stuff and just express my opinion about things and give my thoughts, because I think that is both healthy for me to have an outlet to do so, and also constructive in forming my own beliefs and outlooks on the world, because I am young. I am only 21 years old. I don't know much. I haven't experienced much. And so I think that making public my current ideas and beliefs of the world, and hopefully seeing reactions to those, will be very healthy and constructive for myself, if that makes sense. Because that's all that life is really about, is learning and understanding so that you can leave a worthwhile mark on the world. But anyway, until the next thing that I do, whatever it may be, goodbye.